Thank you very much, Dr. Papacek, for taking the time to talk to us about the strategies you used. Could you tell me what did you do this semester regarding creating time for students to connect?
You bet. So, as the semester went on, at the beginning of the semester, of course, all of my students were on ASU Sync. And so I was home and they were on their Zoom after teaching. They're all student teachers. And after teaching all day long, they were exhausted and they started to say, the beginning of the semester started out great. And you could see I started to call it Zoom fatigue as the semester went on, right?
Sure.
And the beginning of the semester, everyone shared their faces, they were unmuted, and they slowly began to have black screens and not participate as often. So I went in and I spent a little time. I took out one of the classes and I said, "All right, let's talk for a few minutes because I want the best for your learning experience." And I feel like everybody is kind of getting into that exhaustion and needing of stuff. And the students started to reveal, it took a little bit of time, but it started to reveal that they really missed being face to face because it was a time for them to connect with not only their faculty member, but they really were talking about how they wanted to connect with their peers. And they always had time before and after class when the instructor was getting ready for class in a face to face situation. So I asked them, how does it sound if we start class about 15 minutes late and then we have to shorten our a little bit and maybe go a few minutes over class, but I open the Zoom and I leave it just for you guys. I will continue to be by myself and let you as cohort talk, enjoy yourselves, and then I'll come in at a designated time and start class. And the first week, they didn't really trust me. But the second week, yeah, they were like, "Is she really there?" But the second week, then they started like, "How's it going? What's going on with your mentor teacher? What's happening here?" And it was conversations that I heard when I would be in the classroom that I wouldn't participate in because that was their time. That was their time with each other. And so by the end of the semester, they all used that time to come on, even if it was just to listen to each other, to listen to their peers and enjoy. And I started to see more engagement once again as the students had i- interactions with each other that they weren't getting in the ASU Sync Zoom classrooms.
Sure. Were they typically having their video on or off during those times?
They would, the first few weeks, they would go back and forth. They decided
Uh,
amongst themselves that if, and they told me this, so that's how I know, that if they were going to be talking, they'd turn their video on. If they weren't talking and they're just listening, they turn their video off. And after a few weeks of class, or a few weeks of them doing this, they started doing that in class too. They said, you know what? It's unfair to you to teach to a black blank screen. So, and there were probably like two or three that would always have their video on, and the rest of them no. But so then they started to do the same. They would turn their video on. Then I knew they wanted to participate. They wanted to ask a question, answer a question, give an idea, whatever it was. And so, um, this, I think it really helped with the engagement in their interactions in class because they started to feel more comfortable with each other. That was kind of one of the problems they said is they were a mixed cohort. So what happened when we went sync is some of them had never had a class with each other before.
oh, I
And
see.
so this was the first time ever. And then they go, and now we're in COVID and now we're in Zoom. And now we have to say things about our learning that we're not comfortable with. And so it took some time, but it really built a lot of trust.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to share that neat strategy that you discovered. Thanks again.
You bet.